What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I've got a pretty interesting article. Okay, so Donald Trump just come out and did an interview with NBC. Kristen Welker, oh, and it was great. She's actually toned it down a little bit. The lies, the manipulations are a little bit turned down slightly, but you gotta love it. They got to twist everything around. Now, I am mostly covering this. I'm not covering the interview itself, but I'm covering the reporting on the interview because we've got CNN coming in and manipulating everything just like they always do. And I know a lot of people, that CNN is their go-to for news. And I've got to tell you folks, you got to be careful about CNN. You've got to be careful about these people because they are experts at manipulating what's said, manipulating how they write everything. They just manipulate everything to paint a narrative to make it look like something that it's really not. Let's go ahead and get into this thing. Hang on, though. Hang on just a second. Before we do that, do me a big favor. I need your help, y'all. Smash that like button. I would really appreciate that. And if you want to stay up to date with how you're being manipulated by corporate press news, this is the place to be because that's all I do. We analyze corporate press news articles and point out exactly how you're being manipulated by these people, which is very interesting because it's like the old saying goes, knowing is half the battle. If you know how you're being manipulated, you can fight that manipulations and dig through the garbage to get to the truth. That's what I'm all about. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell a random homeless guy that's on the street. Just tell anybody. Doesn't matter. That's the only way I'm going to grow is through you guys, because YouTube doesn't recommend my videos like they would a normal channel. But all because of a single video I put out 2 years ago. Yep, that's right. But let's go ahead and get into this thing. So, need your help. Do that for me. I would appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Let's get into this. Trump previews immigration actions and January 6 pardons in first TV interview since election. Now already, just from the title, they're going in on January 6. Oh my God, he's going to pardon the rioters. Oh yeah, you gotta love it. But that's not the case, is it? President-elect Donald Trump previewed immigration actions he plans to take in his first days in office and outlined how he expects his Justice Department to handle investigations into his political opponents and the criminal cases against January 6 rioters in his first major television interview since winning November's presidential election. And already they are saying the January 6 rioters, right? Now, in the interview, that's not what he said, and I'm going to show you a clip here in a little bit of what he said. He said they're going to pardon the nonviolent people just outright, which should be the case. We know from articles, several articles I've covered, and going over the statistics of the DOJ, we know that at least 1,000, if not, in between 1,000 and 1,100 people have been convicted on some sort of nonviolent crime, right? So what does that mean? Peaceful protesters is exactly what that means. They arrested and convicted peaceful protesters. Now we know she spouts a number in that interview talking about 169 people pled guilty to violent crimes. Okay? But we know for a fact 206 have either pled guilty or been convicted of fighting with cops. Those people don't deserve pardons, as a matter of fact. The seditious conspirators. Now, that's a tough one, because you would have to look into exactly what their sedition was. Right? If they were just like, blah, 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 just random people. Yeah, I don't think you can go in on seditious conspiracy with that. Now, the Proud Boys, they did have a seditious conspiracy going on, and I think that's wrong, and I think they should be as a matter of fact, prosecuted and convicted, which they have been. However, clemency is definitely an option here because Enrique Tarrio, for crying out loud, wasn't even in Washington, D.C., it didn't go to the Capitol, wasn't even in Washington, got 22 freaking years. That seems a bit excessive just for a simple seditious conspiracy. The only thing he did on that day, sent a text message telling the Proud Boys to stay there. Proud Boys weren't being violent. None of the Proud Boys were violent. None of them got arrested for any violent crimes. 22 years for that. Now, do I think he deserves some of that? Yes. If you were trying to subvert democracy, yes, you obviously need to be held to account for that. But 22 freaking years? That's absurd. But let's keep going. In the wide-ranging interview with NBC's Kristen Welker that aired Sunday, Trump reiterated his campaign pledge to launch mass deportations of people who immigrated to the U.S. illegally and to end birthright citizenship. But he also suggested he's willing to work with Democrats to craft a plan to protect thousands of immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children, making his clearest comments yet on the subject. We have to do something about the Dreamers because these are people that have been brought here at a very young age, and many of these are middle-aged people now. They don't even speak the language of their country. And yes, we're going to do something about that, Trump said in his Meet the Press interview, which was taped Friday. I will work with the Democrats on a plan, and if we come up with a plan, but the Democrats have made it very, very difficult to do anything. Republicans are very open to the Dreamers, he added. Now, this goes in stark contrast to what every single corporate press outlet was saying. They were doing nothing but fear-mongering. Oh, he's going to rip babies away from he's going to rip people away from their families and shove them back home. Violently, as a matter of fact. Garbage. It's all outright garbage. They didn't listen to his words. They would cherry pick certain things he would say and run with that. Build an entire narrative around that. But that's not what he's doing. These people have been in this country their entire lives. They were brought here as young kids. Hey, I don't see a problem with allowing them to be here. They had nothing to do with crossing that border illegally. If their parents brought them here illegally as children, I mean, what are you going to do about that? Give them citizenship status. I don't care about that. But the parents of those people, they do need to be booted out of here. As a matter of fact, you can't break our laws like that and expect no repercussions. I'm sorry. That's just not how it works. I know it tugs at your heartstrings for some of these people that just want to come to this country for a better life. And look, hey, you fly under the radar, you're doing your job, you're paying taxes. I have no problem with that. But some of these people, they're subverting our immigration system on purpose. Those people deserve to be booted out of this country. And that is millions of people. Now, Trump says he's going to start off with criminals. That's who he's going to go after first. You got to look at this in totality. You got to look at this in reality. What can actually be done? You go after the criminals first. That's what he's always said. But the corporate press, the mainstream news, they don't tell you this. They don't, oh, he just wants to deport migrants. That's what they say. No, he can't deport migrants, right? If you got citizenship, if you migrated here legally, you can't be deported as a matter of fact, as a matter of law, as a matter of fact, if you put it that way. But the people that came here illegally, yeah, we've got some problems with this. Okay, there's some major problems, but let's keep going. See what else they got to say. Trump had previously expressed some support for protecting Dreamers during his first term, although his administration tried to end Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, the Obama-era program that protects them from deportation. That attempt was blocked by the Supreme Court in 2020. And they say Trump did it because he was on top of the administration, but that was actually something totally different, but we're not getting into that here. We got a lot to cover, y'all. Trump said his administration's mass deportation efforts will target people with criminal histories, but indicated it could go beyond deporting criminals without specifying who the other people outside of criminals would be. Yes, people that came here illegally. That's who they would be. But see, they want to throw this like, oh, he might deport just anybody. They're just throwing that out there, right? Of course he's not going to say that because you know exactly what he's talking about when he says this stuff. When asked whether he plans to deport every person who has entered the country illegally, he said, I think you have to do it. Yes, he did say that. It's a very tough thing to do, he said, adding, you have rules, regulations, laws. They came in illegally. Yes, we have to uphold the law in this country. If we do not, what does that say about our system? If we don't enforce our laws to the fullest degree, right? And even outside of that, we can look at individual cases, individual circumstances, individual people and say, look, you came in illegally, pay some reparations, something, come up with something. If you are truly adding to our society, if you're doing your job, paying taxes, living like an upstanding citizen, I think there needs to be a door opened for you. But if you just came here illegally, you're mooching off the system, you're not contributing to society, then you got to go. And you got to be one of the first ones out. Because we have to not subvert our own laws like Joe Biden has been doing for the past 4 years. It's just insane that you would argue otherwise. But let's keep going. Asked about families with mixed immigration status where parents are in the country illegally but their children are not, Trump said, I don't want to be breaking up families. So the only way you don't break up the family is you keep them together and you have to send them all back. That is right. Now, I've stated this before. That is an option for these people. You go back as a family. You don't have to separate families because that was something Democrats were screaming and crying and whinging and just gnashing their teeth about. Always separating families. Well, you know what? Outside of that, the reason for the separation of families of people that were coming in illegally, right? I've made this argument several times. The reason they were doing that, it's not just making the argument, it's actual matter of fact, that we have a trafficking problem going on across that southern border, right? You get a bunch of people coming in with kids. We want to figure out if those kids belong to those people that brought them across that border, because there's a significant trafficking issue that we have going on across that southern border. So, yeah, we're going to separate you. We're going to interrogate the people, and we're going to talk to the children and find out if that's their parents. If not, then, hey, you're going to be put under immediate investigation. You're going to be locked up probably to figure out what exactly is going on here, because every single person that comes across that southern border has to go through cartel territory. And there are hundreds of thousands of children just dropped off at that southern border, right? Not to mention the hundreds of thousands of people that bring kids across that southern border for untoward purposes, if you will. I say it that way. I'm trying to be nice for YouTube. I'm trying to censor myself. But I think we all know what we mean. When you say trafficking, you know what that means. We want to figure out, we want to try to stop this because we have laws against doing this. Because it's morally despicable that some people think that they can just traffic children. And then for the Democrats to know this is even more despicable that they would argue against it. Makes me sick to my freaking stomach. Democrats saying, they're putting kids in cages and blah, 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 blah. They're separating families and oh my God. Shut your mouth. You know exactly what you're arguing for here. And it's utterly despicable. Utterly despicable. That tells you about where their moralities lie in this country. It's insane that they're turning this into a political storm on the backs of these children. It's utterly insane. Utterly insane. Trump also doubled down on his campaign promise to end birthright citizenship, which is protected by the 14th Amendment, and suggested he may attempt to overturn the right through executive action. We're going to have to get it changed, or maybe I would go back to the people. But we have to end it. We're the only country that has it, he said, echoing false statements he's made in the past. Hang on. You see how they're phrasing this? Echoing false statements he's made in the past. So what are you saying right here, CNN? Are you saying that he didn't make those statements? Or are you saying that the statements are false? Because, yeah, we most definitely do this. What was the point in that? But what they're doing, they're building a narrative. They're trying to manipulate you and saying, Trump's just a liar. It's insane, y'all. If we can through executive action, I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. As CNN reported, about 36 countries provide automatic citizenship to people born on their soil. Oh, so that's what they were saying. Oh, that we're the only country that does this. Well, you know, there are other countries that, almost every country, as a matter of fact, gives citizenship to people born in that country. But the countries that they're talking about, do they have the same immigration system that we have? No, we're the only first world nation that does this. It's insane, y'all. It's just insane how they manipulate everybody. They manipulate everything Donald Trump says to build a narrative that Orange Man is bad, and don't forget that. You better not vote for him. Too late. Too late. Investigations and pardons. Here we go. I've got a clip on this one, as a matter of fact. Trump said he would not seek retribution against President Joe Biden and against his political enemies, but he has repeatedly left room for his appointees to decide whether to go after specific people. He suggested members of Congress who led investigations into his conduct during the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol should be put in jail, and that he'll look on his first day at issuing pardons to supporters involved in the riot. We've already broke that down, y'all. Yeah, that's a lie outright. He said he's going to look at it on individual cases, and that the people that were violent, no, they don't get pardons, as a matter of fact, but we're going to have to look into that. These people have been there. How long is it? 3-4 years, you know? By the way, they've been in there for years, and they're a filthy, disgusting place that shouldn't even be allowed to be open, he said. Nearly 1,200 people either have pled guilty or were found guilty at trial for crimes connected to the January 6th attack, according to the Justice Department. More than 645 defendants were ordered to serve some jail time. Yes, so their numbers are a little bit off, as a matter of fact, because some of those people, once again, like I said, you got to differentiate between the violent rioters, which is 206 people, and there's video evidence of this. You know, look, I'll throw up the number right here. I'll throw up the stat I got from the Department of Justice website. But 200 and something. There's been 1,400 arrests, 1,200 convictions. It's just insane. What does that tell you? 1,200 convictions, 206 violent people. It's 1,000 people arrested for peaceful protesting. And they're just trying to twist this around on you. Trump said he would not direct his Justice Department to investigate members of Congress and Biden administration officials who led the investigations into his role in January 6, but continued to suggest his DOJ would be justified in deciding to launch investigations without his input. Yes, that's what they do, as a matter of fact. What's wrong with that? This is what the Department of Justice always does. They don't go to Donald Trump or to the President of the United States for every single indictment, every single investigation. Of course they act autonomously. What are they trying to say here? When asked about the possibility of investigating Special Counsel Jack Smith, who brought the 2 since dropped federal cases against him, Trump said he wants his pick for Attorney General Pam Bondi to do what she wants to do, insinuating that he wants her to go after them. Hey, if they committed crimes, like, this is what I don't get about these people. They're saying, oh, he's going to go after his political opponents, instead of saying they're going to investigate criminals. They're just going to go after political opponents. This is the argument from these people, and it's pervasive. It's all across the board. ABC, CNN, all of them. All of them. They always say this. Instead of saying it right, the Department of Justice is going to investigate criminals, and if you're found guilty of a crime, if they have enough evidence, you're going to get an indictment. And then you're going to have to go to court. You're going to have to answer for those crimes. But if you did not commit any crimes, you have nothing to worry about. He's not going to just go after people that haven't committed crimes. This is what we have investigations for. This is what we have the FBI for. She's very experienced. I want her to do what she wants to do. I'm not going to instruct her to do it, he said. Trump was more direct when speaking about the members of Congress who led the House Select Committee on the January 6th, telling Welker that the co-chairs of the committee, Republican Liz Cheney, who has since left Congress, and Democrat Benny Thompson, should go to jail. Cheney was behind it, so is Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee, he said. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail. But what they left out is this.
Biden can give him a pardon if he wants to, and maybe he should. Just remember, unselect committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, and after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it, and they destroyed almost everything. There's nothing left. It's unprecedented.
And they deny doing that.
If you do that in a civil case, you go to jail.
You know they deny doing that. And officials say that the order never came in for the National Guard.
They put out a statement.
On January 6th, let me ask you this about January 6th. I think
Benny
you're going to want to
Thompson
answer
wrote
this.
in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me ask you this about
It's
January
amazing.
6th.
I wish you could be you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me. Like Secret Service testified and disputed everything. It made them into a bunch of liars. Not Secret Service, it made the people. They got rid of it because it made Nancy Pelosi, the mayor of D.C., so many people look like criminals. And I will tell you, it's illegal for them to delete and to destroy that evidence.
Yeah, that's illegal. You can't do that. But this is stuff they leave out. They're not going to tell you this stuff. But let's keep going. Once again, they just manipulate everything, y'all. Trump also suggested that committee members might do well to receive preemptive pardons from Biden to protect themselves from criminal prosecution. CNN reported last week that the Biden White House, aides, administration officials, and prominent defense attorneys in Washington were discussing potential preemptive pardons or legal aid for people who might be targeted by Trump. Now, question, logical, just thought experiment for you right quick. What point would it do to pardon an innocent person preemptively? They're not being investigated by anybody. What good would that do? Wouldn't that show guilt? If Joe Biden pardons these people, to me, that shows, it pushes me in the direction of these people are guilty of crimes. And if they destroyed that evidence from the January 6th investigations, they deserve accountability. The American people deserve accountability. But that's what they're not telling you. And this is how you're being manipulated by these people. And it makes me sick to my stomach that some people actually go to CNN for all their news. I swear, I hope these people can see through the manipulations. Honestly, though, if they could, they probably wouldn't be going to CNN for all their news. Biden can give them a pardon if he wants to, Trump said, and maybe he should. Republican former Rep. Adam Kinzinger, who served on the committee, told CNN's Manu Raju on Sunday he's not worried about the Trump administration investigating him or his fellow committee members. CNN has reached out to Cheney and Thompson for comment. Pressed whether he'd direct Bondi or Kash Patel, his pick to lead the FBI to send them to jail, Trump said no, not at all, before adding, I think they'll have to look at it. Yes, they will, because, once again, if they committed crimes, they deserve to be investigated, and they deserve to be held to account, as a matter of fact. But that's what they don't tell you. They never say that. They say, oh, he's just going after his political rivals for no reason, without saying anything else. Well, if they committed a crime, and it's almost a guarantee that most of these members of Congress have committed some sort of crime. It's almost a guarantee that a lot of people in this country have committed some sort of crime, and, justice is not served on these crimes. People don't get caught, right? And if you're in a position of power like a congressman, you get away with a lot more than any average everyday individual could. Like me, like you, like anybody that might watch this video. They can get away with a lot more. Should they be held to account? Yes. People in Congress, people in government, people in the federal government, Congress, what have you. These should be the best of us. They're supposed to be the best of us. They're supposed to be the good, upstanding citizen. They're not supposed to be criminals in political clothing, if you will. That's not what they're supposed to be. But do we have that in this country? We don't know, because they're not going to investigate themselves. Now, we do have some people like Matt Gaetz that's been thoroughly investigated by the DOJ. And they found nothing, folks. Surprise, surprise. Somebody as critical of the federal government as Matt Gaetz is, if he would be guilty of anything. Pete Hegseth, it's another one. They keep bringing up all these assault charges and all these allegations and blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? He was investigated and exonerated for that. Never indicted. What else you got to say? You want to just continually keep on bringing up these allegations for what? For what? Like, why do they continually bring these things up? It's to push a narrative. And it's always allegations. And it's always the same thing. Always the same thing. If you ever notice with these allegations, it's always that one thing. It's always some sort of misconduct with a woman or something of that nature. Why is that? That's weird. That's always what it is with these people, with politicians. Always, always, always. Pay attention to that, folks. That's what we do around here. We pay attention. We notice patterns. We notice patterns. But this is what it all is. And I'm running long on this one. I know I always try to keep my videos to under 20 minutes. But this is a big one, folks, because CNN is just as bad as some of these other outlets, right? They get a little bit better and better sometimes. Some of their articles are okay. Just minor manipulations here and there. CNN's kind of all over the place, right? They have a genuine news segment that is kind of unbiased a little bit. It's okay. But then you get into the woods with some of this crap. Like, this is a corporate press article that's just so manipulative that it's absurd on its face. These people should be fired, to be honest with you, in my opinion. They shouldn't be able to manipulate the American people as badly as they do. But we have the First Amendment, folks. We have the First Amendment. So what do you do about that? You get armed with the knowledge of how they manipulate you. This is what I am here for, folks. This is what I am here for. To show you the manipulations. That's all. That's it. That's my whole purpose for being. But like I said, I've went on for too long. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section, because you can go watch that interview. It's long-winded as hell. But y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. And y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. I love hearing from you guys. Just comment. Get it off your chest, whatever you got. You want to tell me I'm a liar, blah, 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 go right ahead. I'll argue back with you. Doesn't matter. Let me know what you think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. And y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.